he is currently director of IIT Bhilai, and he has worked on many large-scale national projects which touch our lives every day. So, and his expertise is in operating systems, security, communication, hardware and software, and also in VLSI design. So, without spending too much time, I would like to welcome Professor Muna to share his thoughts on this workshop.
Thank you. Thank you, Bindu. Thank you, Dr. Arjat. Um, Good morning to everybody. And, I am also delighted to share this stage with renowned people, Dr. Pamela Kumar, Director General of TSDSI, Kishore Babu, DDG of SRI, DDG SRI, Shri A.K. Mittal, Advisor, TSDSI, and my own colleagues, Dr. Arjat and Dr. Srijit. It's a proud privilege for me to actually talk to you about how standards can help. And I will actually start with a little bit of a sketch on how telecom industry has moved over years. If today we are actually facing through this challenge of COVID-19, and during COVID-19, how do we actually handle things online? Let's just go back 20 years. 20 years back, we are talking of 2000 time frame. Telephones, mobiles were not all that prevalent. Majority of the communication was on 2G network. And if we just place ourselves in that, gigabit links were not there. Communication interfaces were slow. And suppose if COVID had struck at that time, because of the social distancing norms, nobody would have taken physical meetings. The virtual meetings would not have been possible. The only other mechanism by which classes could be delivered would have been the TV network or the cable TV. And even there, the bandwidth would not have been enough. Since we actually many of us belong to educational institutes, we know what it would have meant. In last 20 years, there have been enormous amount quantum jumps in the telecom standards, in the way telephony has pervaded into our lives and has become now part and parcel of our things. Mobile phones, smartphones have actually invaded and have made our life easy both for participants as well as for speakers. Today, when we are talking of computing and communications have actually come along together, and there is hardly any distinction between computing and communication. In fact, it is very famously said, communication is computing and computing is communication today. We look at the newer technologies that are coming in, IoT, Internet of Things, cloud technologies, and there is an ever-demanding need of security in cloud. Large organizations are moving into cloud infrastructure for their IT setups, either private cloud or public cloud. And these are basically very interesting and challenging times where the cost of infrastructure can be substantially minimized by using technologies which provide people to share their compute resources. Internet of Things, it is actually already there, and it is actually envisaged that in time to come, almost everything would be controlled through data communication. We are looking at times when our meeting rooms are turned on, ACs are turned on, people walk into the meetings, and then after the meetings are over, they walk out. Can we actually think of a mechanism where such lights and such kind of electrical infrastructure we control and we could actually have substantial saving? This is one Internet of Things where our light, fan, AC could be on internet. Can we actually look at the solar cells which generate the energy, and there is a huge amount of control network, control circuit which feeds this energy into the grid or takes this energy from the grid. and balances the system. There is a huge infrastructure that can be controlled using Internet of Things there. Um, Recently, Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology launched a challenge of video conferencing. This particular tool that we are actually looking at, the AirMeet, through which we are connecting, was one of the participants of this technology. There are many other participants who participated in this, and several were chosen to take it to the next step. The virtual challenge, virtual evaluation, and virtual mechanisms by which these things were evaluated were phenomenal. I was one of the jury, and we actually evaluated all these tools on their own video conferencing things. There are several applications challenges that people are talking about. One of this application challenge is how do we actually enable work from home? Today is the time when everybody is looking at work from home technologies, and without that is almost not possible for one to be able to move forward. If income tax returns have to be deposited, if income tax assessments have to be done, if income tax queries have to be done, and if income tax meetings have to be done, all this can only be done through virtual work from home kind of technologies. If you look at work from home, it requires access to data, access to official data, operating from home. Technologies like VPN and VPN being made available to everybody is going to be, again, a huge challenge in time to come. The question is, how do we move forward? In our own country, we have actually done quite a lot of standardization. Unfortunately, these standardizations do not percolate down to the educational institutes in their curriculum. One of the challenge, one of the thing that people think is educational institutes are about to give concepts and not to talk about the technologies, tits and bits. I think this philosophy has to change. We should be looking at doing these technologies from standard first, concepts later to, today we talk of concept first and then standards and applications later. I think we should actually be looking at, in modern times, the applications and standards first, building systems first, and then learning more on concepts. Because then it makes the classrooms much more effective, much more challenging, and much more exciting. People have been talking about flipped classrooms, where students would do something and then there would be discussion-oriented rather than a lecture-oriented education. This is kind of an apt thing for introducing standardization and efforts of standardization and education on that. I think our young students can then come forward in building many more standard applications, standards in telecoms, standards in computing. I think this is the time. COVID-19 situation has accelerated our work and has kind of shrunk our time availability for implementing such standards. This is also the time when we should be looking at movement into standards, movement into technologies, and be the leader of the world tomorrow, not only operating in India, but possibly giving this technology outside. In fact, I'm very happy that TSDSI has taken this initiative, and it is actually percolating the standard definitions as a method of doing things, as a method of life, as a method of standards in the educational institutes. Lot of faculty members from variety of IITs, IIITs, and other institutions have joined this novel effort to include standards of technologies in their own curriculums. I take this opportunity to thank every one of them and congratulate them in moving this technology standard stack into the educational institutions so that more meaningful and more professional attitudes can be brought into our own designs and research. With this, I would stop here and thank the organizers for inviting me here. I can actually take few questions if there are questions there.
Thank you very much, Professor Mona, for that very inspiring talk and the motto of standards first, and the fact you've put it so nicely. Communications is computation, and computation is communications. We couldn't have put the technology in a better manner. I'll now request if there are any questions to Professor Mona. Kindly raise your hand or post your questions in the questions box, please. Professor Mona, I think people are having a little trouble in navigating this, trying to understand where to post their questions. So maybe shall we take the questions at the end of the session? Maybe by the time people get comfortable with the tool and know where to post their questions.
That would be perfect. I would be there.
Thank you, sir. So with that, having set the context from the academic perspective, we now invite Mr. Kishore Babu, a Deputy Director General at DOT and responsible for standards, research and innovation. Mr. Kishore Babu, please.
Let me first, acknowledge Dr. Rajat Muna, Madam Pamela, Mr. A.K. Mittal, and Madam Bindu, and most importantly, the key organizers from the academic institutions, Ms. Professor Azad Kherani, and other team members. Department of Telecommunications take this opportunity to acknowledge you because just few minutes before somebody was sharing that almost the efforts were on from December 2019 to make this session happen. And the way the standards setting and standard process takes long time, I can understand that, building a movement as well as, making such events happen surely takes some time, because involving stakeholders and creating interest and triggering suitable opportunity is very important, and it takes certain gestation time. And of course, among these many illustrious speakers, as well as I should say that bright audience, there are few things which I would like to share from the Department of Telecommunications perspective, especially in the context of standards, R&D and innovation. And just looking back into the memory lane, I was looking at Professor Moona's comments that how was the communications infrastructure and what were the challenges in the, I should say, 30 years before. If I recall, in my 10th standard, we were in a place, it's a taluk headquarters, kind of town. For a telephone call, we used to get, there was no telephone exchange first place in the town, and we have something called telegraph exchange. So we used to get a, intimation, somebody used to come home and inform that tomorrow at 11 o'clock, there'll be a trunk call for you, okay? So total family, we used to pack our, including lunch, water and everything, we used to go and wait outside the telegraph office. And when the call comes, that is like, D moment, where you go in and you take the call and maybe around half an hour, 20 minutes, you speak and come out. And after coming home, it was like a celebration. Wow, these people are in this neighborhood got a telephone call. That was the kind of, situation what I have seen, and the radical transformation, of course, with the support from all these distinguished members who are in this session. You have been part of this revolution of telecommunications in the country. And of course, there is a lot to go forward as well. Looking at the opportunity what India could exploit with the support of bright academic institutions who are taking part in this session. So before sharing a few things about some of the initiatives and opportunities, I want to show you the global economic opportunity for the country, especially in terms of ICT's design and IPRs and standard setting. If you look into the screen, please look at, there's a global market of annually 1.6 trillion in system design, IPR and chipset design, and as well as chipset manufacturing. Leaving aside the chipset manufacturing is 100 million, but the design itself has got an opportunity of almost like 1.4 trillion, which is purely controlled by standards as well as patents people hold. I'm only showing this. If you look at courtesy the competence is built from the academic institutions as well as the MNCs in the country. A lot of competencies have come in the country, in the different, I should say, the startups as well as SMEs and companies who learned about, system design while working with the MNCs. Now there are many new companies are starting on their own in contributing this system design and obtaining IPRs as well. It's a huge opportunity, and which we would like to exploit, especially after establishing TSDSI in 2014, which positioned or poised as India's standard development organizations in telecommunication sector. And this is another global supply chain slide, which is of very interest, to many of us in policy making wings, about based on the data from WTO database, what is the, where India stands today with regard to global supply chain of telecommunication equipment as well as ICs and components. As you see, it is obvious that India's presence is almost negligible in global supply chain in telecommunication equipment as well as other components. But it also shows tremendous scope how India can play an important role as envisaged in the National Digital Communication Policy as well as National Policy on Electronics of MeitY. So there's a huge scope where we can take forward. And one of the interesting things what some of the policy documents state that by 2025, India's consumption of electronics is going to be in the order of 400 billions. So in 400 billions, even if you take around 15 to 20%, we pay for IPRs, almost like 80 to 100 billion is the cost of IPRs which we'll be spending, and where there's an opportunity for Indian companies as well as Indian academia who can take forward. So let's look at this, there's another slide here with regard to this semiconductor industry, where again focus is more on chipset design as well as, what's called the IPRs people hold compared to manufacturing as well as assembly. And the Indian companies who are, emerging in a big way, especially in SMEs and as well as medium scale, who have developed, certain kind of their own processes and design methodologies, who are growing to become a kind of fabulous companies in the days to come. And from Department of Telecommunications, these next 2-3 slides, I want to focus about, what is the opportunity for engagement, especially for academia as well as the industry who are taking part in this session, and especially for the students who are looking forward, what are the suitable opportunities as well as platforms. In India, if you kindly look at after the Ministry of External Affairs, Department of Telecommunications has got a huge opportunity as well as the nodal ministry for working with many of the international standards bodies. You can see there, how much we contribute to them for our membership, like ITU, International Telecommunication Union, which is a kind of multilateral body, which is you can also call it as a treaty-based standard setting organization, unlike any other standard setting body, including ISO, which is an association. Whereas in ITU, because of the treaty-based structure, it's more binding as well as respect for its recommendations across the country. And of course, more importantly, the need for interoperability in telecommunications and ICT standards. And we have got 3GPP, which is a real working horse in terms of communication technology standards. Other entities like APT, CTO, IEEE, IETF, and of course 1M, 2M, and many of the other bodies. Like for example, I have given here in brown boxes. These are the other entities where there is an opportunity that standard setting engagement can be discussed, and as well as could be taken forward for discussion at these bodies. As I told to you that, the standard setting, you all know that it's a, long horse, like, some of the other distinguished speakers are going to share with you, how long it will take and what's the kind of tenacity it requires to work in setting the standards where academia are suitably positioned to take them forward. In the country, we look at, TSDSA as well as TEC should play an important role as, representing in ITU as well as 3GPP and other bodies, and in coordination with especially academia, industry, and other, government as well as private institutional entities as well as specialized bodies. And the Department of Telecommunications has established a focused engagement in the form of a division standardization, R&D, and innovation in 2019, acknowledging the fact that what the industry and academia need is a kind of collaboration, building collaboration as well as facilitating them for their participation in the international standards. And some of you might have already seen something called a National Strategy for Standardization, which is set from Department of Commerce in 2018. It clearly gives certain very high level objectives, like first and foremost what we need to work on are identifying the specialists in the industry as well as academia, and as well as fund them and ensure that they are properly positioned in the governing bodies of the international bodies, and as well as support them to the fullest extent, and in achieving India playing in a competent as well as fitting role in standard setting on international platforms. And just to give you a structure about ITU, 3GPP, who are dominantly working on setting standards in telecommunications and ICTs, and just I tried to give you a picture of ITU standardization sector, which has got multiple study groups as well as working groups, and how they work on once in 4 years through their different platforms, starting from WTSA, which is the Apex Assembly, which finalize the standardization programs. And there are study groups which work on different areas, like you can see below. T stands for standardization, and R stands for radio group. Both radio sector as well as standardization sector are working extensively for ICT standardization, especially in the context of next generation telecommunication networks, 5G, which is called in international parlance IMT 2020 and beyond. On other side, where all industry have come together and they are working on in 3GPP and other industry driven standard setting bodies who are working on communication as well as communication related technologies. All these platforms provide an enormous opportunity for the industry, especially to work with the academia, who can uh, play an anchoring role. For example, when you look at industry, members may share, may change their priorities, over the period, as well as from cycle to cycle of their customer interests as well as their goal posts. But whereas academia could play an important role called, setting a kind of anchoring responsibility about identifying which are priority areas for the country, and how in partnership with industry, government as well as SDO like TSDSI, how they can build a kind of collaboration bridges. And here I want to show you about potential actions and as well as opportunities which are shaping up in the country. As I mentioned to you, the baseline with regard to standardization is about our Department of Commerce strategy, which has been approved by Union Cabinet, about how individual sectoral ministries as well as stakeholders, including academia and industry, how can they drive and how can they participate here. And the Department of Telecommunications whole and holistic focus is about identify and build expert teams for each area, which may be which where we may have an opportunity to contribute, or where we have competency which can be suitably exploited in converting the ideas into products and products into standards, and most importantly identify champions to drive. A few months back, we started work in identifying different academia, premier institutions, that what are the kind of centers of excellence they have established, or what are their focus areas. And initially, we worked and developed a matrix for around 8 to 10 institutions. I'm happy that we'll be working with you as well in expanding this matrix, and how these particular competencies are, I can call them as core competencies of you, how they can be translated into a kind of setting up centers of excellence, who in turn do the R&D as well as the standard driven research in support from other centers of excellence, which you can call them as stakeholder centers. Like for example, in the case of 5G, primarily we're working, and we are I should say that very uh, we are finding it very difficulty in identifying suitable stakeholders in setting up the this centers of excellence, especially for the usage case labs. Perhaps Madam Pamela also could share in her address. We identified, importantly, the rural applications, automobile, health, education, and of course finance, are some of the sectors where we want to build usage case labs, for which we have been scouting which academia partner or which regulatory body, or which department would be willing to come forward, partner with the Department of Telecommunications to set a usage case lab as well as center of excellence. And we are also working with the Department of Science and Technology as well as the Ministry of Electronics and IT, who have got certain already established centers of excellence, and how they would be willing to be partners in taking forward this in setting up 5G usage case labs. Look at the the opportunity, especially with regard to 5G as a technology. My personal view is that only very few countries are having core technology, whereas most of the other countries are looking at, based on their innovation capital, are looking at establishing what kind of usage cases they can build using this general purpose technology called 5G. Like if you compare it with internet applications like mobile applications as well as all other applications what we derived in using internet, have put us the internet as a, what I should say, necessary need of every day-to-day life. Similarly, if 5G is going to be positioned as a general purpose technology, providing certain capabilities of extreme capacities as well as extreme capabilities, what kind of usage cases India can position and develop to address its challenges as well as position it as an opportunity in the global platforms. This is an opportunity for all of us to look at how you can work together, government as well as industry as well as academia, along with under the direction as well as the stewardship of TSDSA and TEC, to take forward standards as well as ensure that Indian competencies convert from ideas to products and then into standards, to gain kind of India's position in the global supply chain as well as developing standard essential patents. This is the kind of objective with which standard R&D and innovation division is working towards. And we invite you to be part of our discussions and deliberations, and we have also given some contact details here. And I request and exhort all the academia as well as the industry and students who are participating in this workshop, and please be open and contact us in case you would like to, you find interest in any of these areas and how you want us to support you and take forward in your engagement. With this, once again, I want to thank IIT Bhilai as well as other academia institutions, and importantly TSDSI, for working with all of you and bring this workshop together so that we can hear and understand what is happening and how we can work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kishore Babu, for giving that very good overview of the landscape and the targets, the objectives, especially the high-level objective of taking leadership positions in global standards organizations, and your recommendation of and the initiative of setting up centers of excellence and cross collaboration amongst stakeholder centers of excellence. I'm sure the institutions and organizations would be taking that as a guidance, and through such workshops maybe exploring collaboration. Arzal, would you like to comment at any points to Mr. Kishore Babu's address?
Yes, ma'am. So thank you, Mr. Kishore Babu, for the interesting talk and sharing the detailed structure of 3GPP and how ITU operates. That is an information that most of the academia in India would certainly like to know and see how to, I mean, usually they do not know how to enter this system. And you have given a very crisp overview of how easy it is to enter the system and what it takes to contribute to the system. So thanks a lot for that.
Thank you. So we come to the end of this session. And before we conclude the session, there are some questions. One question is from Professor Markandan from Anand Institute of Higher Technology. He's asked, I think this question is addressed to Professor Moona. Sir, what can be the Indian academic contributions towards future communication standards, which is heavily owned by corporates?
I think, sir? That's a good question. And not just it is heavily owned by corporate, it is also the technologies which are coming from outside of India, which actually creates even bigger challenge for Indian academics. I think one of the reason why there is a challenge for Indian academics is also because Indian academicians are not used to large scale technology deployments and development. Um, and this actually also kind of limits the way they can actually reach in defining the technologies and defining the standards. The best method is to actually work with the corporates, work with the telecom industry, work with the software industry, and get into that so that the contribution can be enormous. And it cannot be this versus that. It has to be going collaborative manner with academics.
I think we've come to the conclusion of the opening session, where the context is set very aptly by both Professor Moona and Mr. Kishore Babu. We can straight jump into the next session. Thank you very much, Professor Moona and Mr. Kishore Babu. And we can now start with the next. Asif, can you start the next session?
Bindu, if you permit, I want to add one just small remark at the end. Is it okay?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bindu. I also want to share with you that, as my previous speaker mentioned, that accessing these platforms and understanding what kind of contributions happen there, it is something very important for the academia to begin with, how they could participate in this standard setting process. In the case of ITU, there is something called TICE account. My invitation to you is that please apply for the TICE account to DOT or TSDSI. We can facilitate that particular user access to ITU resources, which opens up all the available resources in ITU platform as well as its study groups about what the current work goes on, which can provide you a kind of guidance to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That's a very important point. Getting exposure into the work of ITU through a TICE account is a great help. So all the folks, all the researchers who are participating in this conference, avail this opportunity, reach out to DOT. If you want, TSDSI can help you and get a TICE account for accessing the ITU resources. Thank you, sir. I just noticed that there was a question in the chat box. If you quickly take that. The question is from Professor Vidyasagar Kumar from Dr. D.Y. Patil College of Education, Pimpri. He asked, how can we implement standard research without systematic and appropriate service school teacher education and higher education? I think both the panelists can answer the question.
Again, I think it's a very interesting question. And I think it relates to my previous answer itself. Unless at the level of academics, we actually engage with the industry on large scale problems, it is very, very difficult to actually figure out what can be incorporated. My own work, I can probably say I had actually implemented the smart card operating system for driving license and vehicle registration. And this is now being used in variety of applications, including the passports. Now, how did it happen? It did not happen because I jumped into it and I defined the standard which everybody is using. It happened because there was a complete consortia approach with industry, with the government and academics. And that's how we actually got in. It is not that industry is not facing a problem, but it is also not that industry doesn't want to interact with the academics. I think the synergy, the harmonization and synchronization between the two has to be brought in. So this can only happen when people actually meet, talk, and discuss how we can actually move forward. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And Professor Moona has appropriately mentioned that if you kindly look at standard setting process, it requires enormous funding as well as enormous collaboration between user as well as producer. So he rightly mentioned that in terms of regulatory part, government, as well as in terms of producer, yes, the industry as well as users, they have to come together to make something too big to happen. And the comment from the one of the members that it is the MNCs at this moment, I mean, because of huge investments. Like for example, when you look at in 5G, people say that annual spending by one of the MNCs goes up to 15 billion to 6 billion. This is what they say, the kind of investment they do in R&D. So naturally, it requires huge efforts, in standard setting process, apart from R&D and efforts to convert it into a standard. Except, working together and building and learning, that's the only way where academia and Indian industry can go forward in learning the, art of the game. That's what, of course, many of the Indian companies have been done for the last over a decade. And now they've started on their own, how they can, excelling in this particular part by coming up with their own product solutions and as well as standards. This is from my side, Bindu. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I hope I'm audible. So with that, let us conclude this session and jump into the next session, which is about global standardizations, an overview of global standardization organizations.